Well, acceptance is hard to get in hip hop culture because you go against, is he whack or is he not? How does he look?
Yeah.
Where is he from? And what's his credibility? So being a student of hip hop, what about the culture did you grab besides lyricism? Because of course you write. But what was it about hip hop that made you want to dive into it and study it more?
To dive into it, I mean, a lot of rappers that I listened to I couldn't relate to. It was a lot of drug dealers and people who dropped out of school and people who didn't have their fathers, which is a part of the big reason. But what made me want to dive into it more, I don't think it was anybody in particular that, you know, an artist that I look up to that was like, I gotta do this. It was more like it was genuine. It was like genuine love. Like I just came into the game to have fun. And then when I realized that I was getting recognition, that's when I realized like I could make a difference. I could give people, I could say something, I could give my perception of the world and convince the person who's listening to me that I'm correct. You know what I'm saying? Because I have a lot of views that I feel need to be heard. And I'm not much of a talkative person. Like I can't really confide in anybody.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm alone and I'm writing, that's really the best talk that I could give.
Okay. That's when your truth comes out, when you're alone.
Yeah.
And you got the paper to talk to with your pen. All right, well, one thing about me that I try to pride myself in and to work at, I'm a teacher by trade. So I don't like to come down on youthful MCs like, well, you need to know this, you need to know that.
Yeah.
Even in the scriptures, it says, if the people want to know Moses, they can go to the temples. You can go find it yourself, but you should have some guidance. I ask you this as a guidance question. You talked about your culture and even your people who are not here anymore. Is that Arawak?
Yeah, it was a subgroup of Arawak. They're
Okay.
called Tainos.
Tainos, okay. And like you went back and dove into that and you brought that message into your music, your message is about pride. Your message is about tradition. How do you want to teach the world who you are by your beats and by your rhymes? What is it that you want to give them so they can connect to you?
I want to give them a good listening experience, a good history lesson, in a way that you could have fun. You know what I'm saying? Like if you listen to the first track on the Good People EP, it's a history lesson. It's a short history chapter, but it's not like you sitting in class bored as hell, like, I can't wait for this to be over. It was something like when I perform it, we turning up just like the trap rappers are, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I'm hitting people in a way where they could enjoy learning, which is something that I never had in school. I never really enjoyed the process of learning something. I want to give people that side of understanding.
Okay, because the way I ask this is because throughout the lineage of hip hop, there always has been someone to teach the people. Even young MCs have taught the people. Now, I think it's a trend that everybody's woke, quote unquote woke.
Yeah.
But even this form of being woke was prophesied to come. It's called the Great Awakening, the Great Reawakening. And it was talked about since the 80s, that this time would come where the youth will rise and take hip hop to where it needs to go. And in preparation of that, in hip hop, we've had the 5%ers. We had Dr. York and them. And they have fell and rose, it doesn't matter. The consciousness and the awareness of the people have always risen to the point where now in the industry and in corporate hip hop, they kill it off and you don't hear that music too much. Have you been inspired by like Immortal Technique or?
Oof, yeah.
Okay, because I hear a little Immortal Technique in your style.
Yeah.
How you want to give the truth, yet you do it in a way where the hip-hop fan will nod their head and learn at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah.
I see that in you. So in listening to your music, I must ask you, what is the hardest message you ever had to give?
The hardest message I had to give? That's a hard question to answer. I felt like at least that EP was like a hard story to tell. But the hardest one, I would say it was Serenity. That song Serenity was the hardest one to tell because to write that song, the hook came to me naturally. I freestyled it. But once I freestyled it, I didn't understand what I was talking about. Like, I knew my people, the Tainos, but I didn't know the backstory. I didn't know how they were killed off. I didn't even know that all of them were dead, to be honest with you. So then when I went to do my history so that I could write that song, it literally hurt. Like, I almost cried. That's how much, just learning that part of my history was a painful experience. And then even writing the song and performing the song, it's like, it's not easy to tell somebody that you're here by accident. You know what I'm saying? By rape. Like, you're technically not supposed to be here. That's an evil way to be brought into the world. And that, understanding what they went through is just painful. In my experience, understanding that that's where I came from.
I've noticed on your social media, is that the song you performed in front of the family? That you said was hard to actually perform? You were sitting in front of some Europeans and you went and you did a song.
No, that one was Paradise.
Tell me about Paradise, 'cause that's one of my favorite songs on your EP.
Paradise?
Take me to paradise. Nah, that's my joint. I love that joint.
You see, Paradise is more, if you look at the EP, the first beginning is more historic, before I was born, and then the last 3 songs are modern times type of thing.
Take me to paradise.